Hi, this is Peter Lund, Director of Product Management here at Industrial Defender. What we'd like to do today is take a few minutes to talk through some of the new features of our version 7.3 release, specifically the areas we've made investments around risk and our asset analytics dashboards, as well as our Netflow application. So with that, let's jump right into a demo, and we're actually looking at one of the new ASM risk dashboards. So you can see quickly at a glance, you've got 8 locations and 162 assets that are being monitored by this ASM environment. That data is all being fed by our Industrial Defender, classic agents that we have out there, as well as things like assisted passive monitoring, where we're actually looking at the traffic coming across the network and determining what assets are out there, what firmware versions they're running at, their make, their model, all the way down to typical agentless data collection via SSH or web scraping or some of the proprietary Schweitzer connected relays. It might be a combination of all those things. What we do is we look at all that data and we start to give it a very transparent risk score. So we've seen a lot of the market's risk assessments, and one thing that we'd like to see more of and what we built into our product is transparency. So we've got a number of different locations here, and I'll kind of go through them least risk to most risk. So our New York plant, they're doing very well. You can see we're green, and as you scroll over the sunburst, you'll see that, okay, well, New York's got 6 assets, 1 operating system type of Linux. As we scroll out further, we'll see that we've got a number of different test assets here and a number of different risk vectors. So in this specific location, we've got health as a risk vector, compliance as a risk vector, vulnerabilities as a risk vector, as well as security. Dig more into what that means in a moment. But if we go over to our plant that's actually in New Jersey, you can see we've actually are starting to highlight some risk in a few areas. And I can quickly hover over and see that, okay, it's coming from some of my Windows, some of my embedded assets. And as I scroll out further, I can see, okay, well, this one's coming in from health because that asset may not be reachable right now. Now, if we move over into, say, our Florida location, we have a lot more assets running here, a couple different OS types, and we can quickly see that there's a very narrow band of risk coming out of just our Windows endpoints. So we take a look. Let's see, we've got this one endpoint. It's only got risk in a narrow band, and it's related to compliance, and it looks like it's got some configuration exceptions or baseline deviations that haven't been dealt with, and also has a number of security events that have gone unseen by the security team. So let's drill through on that asset and start to show what some of these analytics actually are that we're talking about. So as we drill through, we can quickly see that we've got this asset as compared to its group, basically doing a quick measurement and grouping into all other like assets, and you can see that it has less software than its peers, less patches than its peers, less ports and services, many more firewall rules in place. So this may be expected or unexpected, but basically giving you the ability to drill in and start to look at some of that trend data. So you can see that it was kind of tracking very similar from an installed software standpoint. No data was collected over the weekend, so it's something that was likely shut down. And then when it came back online, it has much less software. You can see that the group received a number of patches a few days ago, where this endpoint potentially missed those patches, so that's something that we want to take a look at. Same for ports, firewalls, user interfaces, all the pieces of data Industrial Defender is able to collect. We start to do trends on that. And as we roll forward, we pull up that same kind of trending information for software exceptions, patch exceptions. These are all the anomalies that we're able to detect with our change detection engine. As we scroll further, we start to go into things like security event per day trend. So you can see that this asset has a lot less going on as compared to its peers, as well as start to look at the baseline. So you can see that this asset differs quite differently from a baseline standpoint compared to the other baselines in the group. Maybe that's expected, but I would expect this endpoint, it's an HMI in the environment, it should be very similar to all the other HMIs and engineering workstations. And then lastly, we bring you actually into the risk scores. So you can see that in this specific instance, we've got a few tens actually being derived from the configuration deviations or anomalies that we've detected. It's normal to have 10 a day on this endpoint, and we're actually calculating more than that. Same with security events. After 30 unreviewed security events, we want to flag this item as a risk. Looks like its baseline review status is in good shape. It's healthy from a collecting data standpoint, healthy from a security event standpoint, not exceeding the normal volume that we'd expect to see. And it's actually pretty healthy from a vulnerability standpoint. It does have a few outstanding vulnerabilities with a fairly low risk score here, but you can see that we are actually calculating some risk. So that's kind of a deep dive all the way from that home dashboard to actually drilling through to see where that risk is coming from. Now, if we dig deeper, the big thing we were talking about is kind of transparency and risk. Okay, so now I've drilled through to actually show you the scores and actually let you modify them. So as an example here, we've got those configuration anomalies, event review scores. You have the ability to edit them. Let's say, 50 unreviewed events makes more sense for your specific organization, or vulnerabilities don't matter, but things like ICS cert matter. So I'm going to turn off generic vulnerabilities, but I just want to know about things from ICS cert. And if I have outstanding ICS cert bulletins against an asset, I want to go and have some scoring for that. Okay, that's a quick summary of our new risk dashboard, asset analytics. Now let's switch gears into our new Netflow application. So Netflow is specifically built on data that flows up from our IDS sensor. So this is the sensor that's not only doing IDS, but also responsible for doing passive monitoring and then assisted passive monitoring, where we go out and actually actively have the ability to discover assets on the network. So go out there and doing a safe whois based on the protocol that we're using, whether it be the new BACnet for building management systems, or potentially things like an enipsip broadcast to determine what's out there. And you can quickly basically get a visualization of the top services in the environment, whether that be bytes or connection counts, the top 5 source IPs, the top destinations. The other neat thing about these new widgets is you can actually drill through and see, okay, for the top source ports, let's drill through and see who's communicating with who, and actually even flip to a grid of connection counts. So drill through, you can see that endpoint's actually talking to 2 other ones. This one is a bit busier. This one's talking to a few more endpoints. You can drill through these and give yourself a quick consolidation summary with nice sorting and filtering built in. We've got the kind of statistics further down here on conversations, just general assets, who's talking to who, sorted by bytes, by connection counts. When you click through on an individual conversation, you'll get the details in that conversation in the chart. The next 2 charts kind of go hand in hand. This is top inbound and external communication, so inbound and outbound. In this specific case, we've got a firewall rule blocking any inbound connections, which is good. So I'm expecting to see nothing here. So if something was appearing, I'd be pretty worried about this specific environment. Now we go down further and look at those external communications. We can see that we have a spike here for this specific endpoint. That might be something we want to drill into. So this is all part of ASM 7.3 built into the application stack. If we've got additional sensors would appear here. Just really starting to provide a nice visualization to that ICS and IDS data that we've been collecting for quite some time. Those are the 2 key features I want to take through you guys today in the 7.3 release. We have lots more to talk about there, but those are the 2 key things. And if you'd like to see more or hear more, you can reach out to us at info@industrialdefender.com, and we'll be happy to talk in detail about 7.3.